All right, folks, thanks for tuning back in to part 2 of this series. So we talked yesterday about why the major forecasters, well, not why, but the fact that major forecasters are feeling positive about 2022 and the home values increasing and not decreasing. Today we're going to talk about why that is. And so let me pull up a little graphic for you here. All right, so here's first off, what is the amount that they're saying? So these 7 major forecasters out there, the average is 8.5% home appreciation. Lowest is 5.1, highest is 10.8. So you average that out around 9% or so across these 7 different forecasters. So nobody's calling for a negative price drop this year. Nobody's got a crystal ball either, but these are folks that have been doing this for years. Now, the interesting thing is, these are national numbers. The Puget Sound area seems to be doing much better than the national averages. As I mentioned, I think previously, Snohomish County went up 23% this last year, so we pretty much knock it out of the park, have been recently. So I expect that we would do better compared to these as well. So the reason that they are saying that we are going to be... Let me pause for a second here. Hang on a minute. So here's the big question. Why are they so bullish on the housing market still? Even though we've seen this what seems to be like this bubble building, like back in the 2006 to 2008 timeframe. Well, let's talk about that. There are 3 key reasons. The first one we're going to talk about today, and that is the foreclosure situation is very different than it was back then. Let's look at a couple of charts here. During the pandemic, we had these forbearance measures in place for the last couple of years. This chart shows you that we had almost 5 million at the height of the forbearance period. Forbearance is just simply where the mortgage servicer or their lender will allow the borrower to temporarily pause their payments while they kind of get the finances in order. And then when you do get that out in order, you kind of emerge with a plan of some sort or bring your payments current. So you can see that we had almost 5 million in forbearance, but today in April we have less than 700,000. So it was a big concern. People were thinking that we would have this big slew of foreclosures coming out of COVID. Well, here's what's happened. We see that almost more than 80% have either brought their payments up to date or worked out some payment plans. So yes, there are still a few that are out there, 18% or so that are still in trouble and working through some things, but way different than what we expected. And so from a foreclosure standpoint, remember this is what I talked about yesterday. We had a huge amount of foreclosures as part of the cause of the meltdown before, back in 2008. Well, the foreclosure situation now is, let's look at this chart here. You can see it's a very, very different situation. The red shows where in the years that we had over 1 million in foreclosures, over 1 million foreclosure filings. Here's the bubble right here. Starting in 2006, you can see things were getting tough. All of a sudden, people started defaulting a lot on their loans. Here's the height of it all. 3 million in 1 year, right? But look at where we are today. We're at 151,000. Well, last year, I guess. So very different foreclosure situation. What that means in terms of the market and pricing is we do not expect a massive onslaught of foreclosures to hit the market, which would which would raise supply of homes and bring down home values for everybody. So that is a good sign. Very different from the bubble that we experienced a few years back. So take heart in that. Stay tuned for my next video. We'll talk about reason number 2 why this is a different market. Take care.